Wrist sprains are common when a person falls and the wrist is usually bent backwards when the hand hits the ground, or due to a blunt force that causes the wrist to bend backwards. The purpose of this wrapping is to provide support and stability for the wrist. Supplies needed to wrap the wrist include pre-wrap and zinc oxide tape. Here's just one example of how a wrist can get injured. To pre-wrap, have the wrist in a supinated position with slight extension and the fingers spread apart. Then, make sure to cover the wrist and go in between the thumb and other fingers. Begin by placing a proximal anchor of about 1.5 inches around the wrist, starting at the ulnar styoid process. Cross the dorsal aspect of the distal forearm and encircle the wrist, then tear the tape. Move on and place an anchor around the palm, covering the 2nd through 5th metacarpal. You may need to fold the tape for smaller hands. Next, you will create 3 strips in a butterfly pattern that will extend from the proximal anchor to the distal anchor. You will do this in supination first and then in pronation. To prevent hyperflexion, place this butterfly pattern on the dorsal aspect of the hand. To prevent hyperextension, place the butterfly pattern on the palmar aspect of the hand. Next, you will begin at the top of the wrist and create a continuous anchor with each piece of tape overlapping by about 1/2 of an inch, continuing until you get to the bottom of the wrist. Next, we are going to apply a strip of tape in a figure 8 pattern. Encircle the distal aspect of the 2nd through 5th metacarpals, continuing the palmar aspect to the 5th metacarpal, and across diagonally radial aspect of the wrist to encircle the wrist. Finally, check for any holes in the wrist that you missed while taping. If you have any holes, try to cover up by completing additional anchor strips. Check for capillary refill by squeezing the tip of a finger to make sure blood flow returns to the finger. Most of all, make sure that your athlete is happy and healthy with their wrist taping.